Hey everyone. Today I'm making a soap for a friend and I'm going to try out a new kitty cat mold that I have. I've had it for a while, just haven't been able to try it out until now when I had a reason to. When my dear friend Rebecca asked me if I could make a kitty cat soap for her daughter. So you might see a little bit more about that down the road. You kind of caught me in the middle because I was doing a couple of other soaps for Rebecca and I was using the tail end of that melted soap. So that's why it was kind of already started. I didn't catch the video on time. So what you saw was a little bit of premium crystal clear, and I melted it in the same vessel that had some Twilight blue from Mad Mica, and I just added to that. So it's a black with a little bit of a blue tinge. It's really it does not show up in the second set of kitties I do. The first set of kitties you didn't get to see because I had some blue left over with a lot of blue in it, like some, like what you see up above you, those first little pretty squares there. And I added black to that thinking I could darken it, but there was too much mica in that. So I just tested the mold out because I wanted to see what the faces look like. I wanted to make sure that I chose the right kitty that I could paint the eyes on because these are very tiny, and it was specifically requested to be a black kitty with green eyes. That kitty belongs to Juni, and that's short for Juniper. What a beautiful name! And she has a kitty named Sharpie because he's all black and has beautiful green eyes. So that's what we were doing, and that's why I was testing the mold out with the little. They look purple, but it's really blue. It's twilight blue and black mixed together. Um, I kind of came in, not really a problem, but I kind of had to tweak some things as I went because the colors I chose were very similar and they blended together a little bit more than I wanted them to. And that's, uh, well, it really didn't show up with, like I said, I'm not using the purple kitties, but I did use Nebula in a separate little cup, and I wanted to see what those butterflies look like, and that was at the tail end of having done the darker purple blue looking kitties. And so those happened before the camera came on, and they turned out so cute. But because I did the butterflies out of the Nebula, also from Mad Micas, they were a little more purple, I guess, or a little closer in color to the sky color that I'd chosen. So when it gets to that point where I'm making the sky, I'll kind of talk you through what I did to fix that. But right now you see me kind of gathering a little bit of clear melt and pour. And that is the premium crystal clear from Wholesale Supplies. Plus, as usual, anytime I make an art soap, that is what you're going to see me using. It is the clearest, and especially when you're looking for a picture type soap, or something that really needs to show off the clarity. And so that is what I used for the bulk of this soap. Actually, it works out about half and half because I do use a white soap for the background. But let me tell you a little bit more about what I'm doing right now. This was unnecessary. I was trimming a little bit of around the images of the mold, and that's mostly because the mold is so new to me and I wasn't sure where the edges are. Um, this mold was from scrapbooking, yeah, scrapbooking or scrapbook. I think it's scrapbooking.com. Anyway, they have some sets. I don't know the brand name of it, I forget, but you can find it if you look on their website. Some really, really beautiful molds, and they are deeper than you might expect. They're not super thick, but like the little butterflies are thicker than what you expect, which means they are doable. They're not, so flimsy that you're never going to get them in a soap. Um, so I was pleased with that. They all are substantial, even though they've got really delicate details like the tail, etc., it's they're pretty hardy as far as I am concerned. Now, keeping in mind that I typically have something in my embeds. I guess it depends on the color, but if you add a tiny bit of glycerin in your embeds, they will remain flexible. I had a little too much in this one, but it doesn't matter if you let it solidify a little longer. Let it sit there. By the time when I removed these, they were a little bendy, as you will see here. And those do, if you don't pour it all the way up to the top of that, those little kitty cluster will sort of come apart. And that's okay too, because you can still put them in the soap in the order and they'll still be together. It's just like a little line they have linking it, and it's only on it, it doesn't show, it doesn't go all the way to the bottom. So you can cut it out if you don't want it. You can leave it there if you do. But anyway, back to it being a little bit bendy. Um, it all I did after I took these out, I just basically removed them a little earlier than I should have, because they set up really well after I left them for the amount of time I was working on other bits of the soap. So that wasn't very long. It wasn't even an hour, I believe, after I removed them from the mold that I was shoving them into the rectangle mold that you see, the little pink one that many soapers have. If you don't have one of those molds or something similar to that, I'd highly recommend getting one if you like to do melt and pour or melt and pour designs. It it's really a very good starter for learning to create your own designs, and it is very versatile. You can do so many things with it. Just like the little round ones I have that are a circle, like a cylinder type circle. Those are very handy for doing a variety of things. And especially if you're not going to do loaf molds, the rectangle is a bit smaller than when you're doing loaf soaps, but it's a very good size. They make really nice substantial 4-ounce bars, and they fit in the hand quite nicely. It's what I'd call an average size soap bar. So when I do loaf molds, I end up typically making kind of gigantor bars, and that's just kind of started when I was doing my drink soaps, and then I just kind of left it like that. I do pretty large, thick bars. I like them. Um, Even though I have kind of small hands, like I can handle them fairly well. My poor little frog. I wanted, and this was one of the other things I wanted to talk to you about, is just a little bit of thinking outside of the box. Um, I wanted, because of the little butterflies in the mold, I pictured the kitty outside playing with butterflies. So, and then when I pictured that, that made me think, oh, he needs to be in grass. So I wanted some grass, which I like to use shaved soap or shredded soap for grass because it looks like grass. Looks really cool. And so I was trying to use up a lot of things that, instead of just, melting fresh new soap for every little thing, I wanted to use some scraps. I'm kind of doing quite a few in a row here on using scraps. Next week's video is completely with scraps. And well, I shouldn't say completely, mostly. I'd say more than 50%. But the anyway, I pulled out a little froggy that is from a soap that I made, oh, like maybe early spring. It came out really cute, and I had some extra froggies because I made more than I needed, which I would prefer to do. It's better than having not enough. And so I just shredded them up, and instant grass. Um, I do have in that little bucket there that you see, I've got premium um, triple butter. Is that it? 3 butter. Premium 3 butter extra or something like that. Anyway, it's a really nice soap from Wholesale Supplies Plus. I really like it's a very nice skin feel. It's not a detergent-free one. I did several detergent-free soaps in the clay series I was doing, and now I'm kind of going back to premium for a lot of my designs. It doesn't mean I mean, I use both frequently. So you'll see me flip back and forth. But if you're going to see an art soap, unless it's a swirl soap or something very specifically that doesn't need to be super clear, you might see some detergent free. soaps there. But other than that, Premium Crystal Clear is my buddy. So I'm now I'm gonna, if I can find words, um, talk a little bit about the color. I love the mica. This is the first time I've gotten to use it. I've had it for a while, but that beautiful Daydream that my Mad Micas came out with a while back, it's stunning. It's beautiful, but it's very similar to Nebula. Um, it's more blue, but especially if you're using it in a white soap, it's light, but it, because I'm imagining, I haven't used it in a clear soap yet, so I don't know. But in the white, it made it just too close to the nebula color for the butterflies to stand out. So, if you start playing and learn a little bit, and maybe even do some research and get yourself a color wheel so you can see opposites and see colors that are complementary and all that fun, good stuff. Um, you can learn to tailor colors and fix them when they don't quite work for you. So, being a kind of more blue than purple, that color that was in there, I thought, okay, well, I can make it maybe more toward a little bit of an aqua, or, something like that sky. And so I thought that's a safe bet, because if it other than that, it might go a little gray, which is exactly what I wanted. Like more of a gray blue to not compete with, but stand out, have the nebula purple butterflies stand out. So I added a little, the little froggy, as you may have noticed, and once it got melted in there, it was a beautiful sky color. A tiny bit on the gray side, but honestly, in the soap, it doesn't really look like a cloudy gray sky. I did add clouds, but they were kind of white, fluffy clouds. I only added clouds to one of them because I wasn't sure if this whole thing was an experiment, um, to see if I could make a really cool kitty cat soap. And so I had the idea to make a couple of them just in case one didn't turn out, or maybe Junie didn't like glitter. I don't know. So I did one with clouds, one without. And right now I put three. I filled halfway two of those cavities, and the third one is a little more than halfway because it was just being using the soap for kind of a pour over. But I do use it again, as I started to say about next week's soap being a scrap soap. I use that soap in next week's soap, so you will see that, hopefully. There is a little bit of not dead time, but as you see in the video, it looks like I'm not doing anything. There was some really wonky stuff this week. That's why the video is a little late for members. You will see it. Obviously, if you see it, you're hearing it now, you're seeing it. But everything was behind. Having real difficult time with my internet today. Everything was moving super slow. I hope that the audio catches up with the video enough to make everything sync up. It's hard to tell when you can't quite see if it's syncing. And yes, my editing um, program is an online program, and while most of the time that works out just fine, I don't know, the last couple of ones I've done has been a little shaky here and there, but hopefully you're reading everything that I'm putting up as far as colors go and the fragrance. I'm just pointing out here that I'm only painting little tiny eyeballs on these little tiny kitties. It basically is a dot for, two dots for the kitty that it's facing the user, and the sideways one has one. But it's Crazy Eyes Green, and I can't speak enough about this color. If you haven't tried it, you have to. It's so beautiful. It's a gorgeous green. It has a little flash of gold in it, even though it's kind of a cooler green. It doesn't make it like overly warm. My favorite green for sure. Um, but all I did, and yeah, it's kind of messy there. I just plopped it out on my mat. My mat was thoroughly cleaned and sanitized before I even turned on the camera. So, keep in mind I keep that mat out to be able to use it. I pour soap on it sometimes. I put mica on it sometimes. It just depends on what I'm doing. So, a little tiny dot of mica and a little I spritzed it first with alcohol if you didn't catch that. And so I just spritzed a place on there and then put a dot and it kind of makes a mica paint. If I were painting a bunch of something or using um painting a bigger surface, I would have probably used some little something, a little a little container. Sometimes I've used molds. There are molds that I've used for that, and they're little what do you call bath bomb halves. That one I got from Koala Soaps. She uses little bath bomb molds, and it works quite well. Um, but I use whatever's handy. Sometimes if I know I'm going to be doing a lot of painting, I'll plan it out and I'll have something that is at least like a little what do you call it? Like a little palette or something I can use as a palette. But anyway, those eyes came out really cool. I don't know how well they show up on camera once they get closer. Once the close-ups happen, I think you'll see it okay. The neat thing about it is that the mold has quite a bit of detail. And so all I did is touch the green to the eyeball and it filled it in. And then I did touch over one of them, I think, with the knife because it got a little too much and I just kind of cleaned it up a little bit. But it shows detail in the eyes. There's little, I think, little slits or pupils or something that just shows up because you touch just a little bit of mica on there and it sinks around the little raised part and looks like a kitty's eyeball with very little effort. I thought that was cool. Anyway, you see the grass that I made, and all I did there when I was playing with it was dividing it up because I wanted to try two different kitties. And the kitty I really liked, one of the kitties I really liked and wanted to try is walking. He is taking a stroll, and he's a little longer, so he's not going to fit the direction that I have the other soap going. So I decided to do him sideways. So you'll see when it gets closer to the end or when I get to making the second one. The first one I do is going to be kind of up and down, a vertical design, and the other one is a little bit more horizontal. Um, and I don't move the mold to do it. I just, pray that I got everything in the right place and that I can do things sideways. And apparently I can because I did it sideways and it turned out okay. Um, those little cups, yes, you can use them to melt and pour soap in. You have to be extremely careful. I've told you before, so I'm sorry if you hear me repeating it, but every time I use them, I'm probably going to repeat it 5 seconds at a time. Don't heat it longer, and it has to be in the center of your microwave. 5 seconds, stir. 5 seconds, stir. Even if you have to do that 4 times, 5 seconds, no more. You'll be sorry if you do. At least with Crafter's Choice because it does have a lower melting point. So you might be able to do 10 seconds with like Stevenson's or something. But I haven't tried it in those. But the reason I'm pointing it out is not, and the reason I was using it is because you have really good control with those little pictures. If I were doing a lot of these soaps or a lot of any soap where I'm doing detail like that, I'll melt my soap in a bigger bucket and then just pour it into the smaller ones as I use it. And that way the larger bucket stays warmer longer, etc. Um, but as I'm putting these together, you notice I'm not dumping a bunch of soap in. I wanted it hot enough and I poured it pretty hot. The background wasn't completely fully set up, but it had a pretty darn thick skin on it, and I knew that the no matter how hot I poured that soap in there, it wasn't going to go through it. But if you're not careful, you can melt the layer behind it. I didn't want to do that, and I didn't want to scratch it because of the design. So I poured it hot, but very little. Can you see the pouring technique? I'm hoping it's synced up with this by now. It's a tiny stream. It's a tiny stream of soap. And I spray in between each thing I add, and I add very little at a time. It keeps it fluid enough. Like once you get the first layer on hot, then after that, you can just you can let it cool a little bit as it goes because it's going to stick to the liquid soap that's already in it. It's going to stay. Um, Caution when you're doing something like that, if you go to spray that cat's face and it hasn't had soap poured over it yet, you're going to ruin the eyeballs. Never spray an embed that you've painted with mica with alcohol after you've painted it with alcohol. I mean, with mica, it will totally move it and mess it up. It'll just be gone. I always try to pour a little bit over like for this one, I poured it over the face. That was the only thing that had any painted mica on it. And I think you might notice it a little bit more here because this one I do have to spray um before. There's one little section I felt I needed to spray, and I didn't want to get the kitty's face. So I make just blocked it with my hand. You'll see I kind of covered over it so that I didn't get the kitty's face, but just got the part I needed to spray. I also highly recommend, and I've said this before too, but it bears repeating. The Notice my sprayer when you next time you see me spray this, and I spray it often in here. Um, it is a very fine mist sprayer, or a decently fine mist sprayer. I really can't recommend that enough. I see so many people spraying with something that seems like it's a heavy duty squirt gun or, like a fire hose sometimes. Don't spray your soaps with that. You're going to get too much alcohol and you're going to disturb the things that you're adding in, and it can give you problems. It can sink below that layer of soap and disturb the mica that you see there. I covered it up. It'll disturb that layer of mica even under the soap if you squirt it too hard with something that has a very heavy stream. So where did I get those? Walmart. They are super super cheapo little bottles. I got them at Walmart in the travel section. In where you get the little travel sizes of everything. They're called like fingertip sprayers. Get some. Get more than one. They're cheap. They're around $1, maybe a little bit more, but not by much. And just get a few and have them and put your alcohol. They have different colors, so I use different color. The lids are different colors. I use that for my different types of alcohol because I use both the 91% and I use the 70%. So typically you're going to see the 91% in my blue or aqua lids. And if you see the pink lid, it's the 70%. And I've talked about it in a few different videos, what they're good for. But typically I use 91% for sticking layers together, for popping bubbles, for anything, for mixing in with my mica. Unless I'm for some reason out of it, I have used 70%. And you can, but I prefer the 91% for anything that is going to need to dry up quickly. The 70%, the 70% has more water content and stays longer on whatever you put it on or in whatever you put it in. So that is why you use that to sanitize things or for cleaning, and because the alcohol needs to stay on the surface for 30 seconds or longer. And so it won't, if it's the 91%, it will dry up too quickly. It will I can't think of the word. It will evaporate. That's the word. It will evaporate too quickly to kill the bacteria, destroy the bacteria, and whatever else you're trying to kill. So the you see that I pulled them out. There's a little awkwardness in just trying to get this one kitty, which is the one that Juni chose, on film because it's not quite even on his belly. His belly sticks up a little bit, which I think is super cute, or maybe it's his hind leg. Either way, I think it's really cute. He's got a little bit of texture on him that way. It's like a little bit more 3D. And the light wouldn't catch. The light, I mean, it would catch. It just makes little shiny lines that really aren't there. It's just the light catching it. So my apologies for that little guy. I did, as you see, I beveled them a little bit. I didn't bevel um, one of the sides. It might have been the side with the grass on the end because it looked kind of funny. So here, hopefully, you can see me getting them close enough to where you can catch his eyes and catch the real look of him without the big flat, not flashlight, but the film lights shining on him because those are quite bright and they catch everything. And and they come from every angle, and it gets to be a bit much. So that's why he's got some weird little things shining around on him. But he's really cute. So that's Sharpie. Um, and then this little one, I can't even think of oh, so I'm gonna name him Chirp Chirp because that's my best friend's kitty, and she said it looked just like Chirp Chirp. So he's Chirp Chirp. He looks a little like my grand kitty Brucey, but Brucey has a little bit of white. Bruce Wayne, by the way, that's what his name is. He has a little bit of white on his chest, and I didn't specifically make him for my daughter, but that's my daughter Melinda's kitty cat. So I'll go with Chirp Chirp, and I'll make her one later, maybe if she wants one. So, here they are. These they're a little fussy. I mean, when anytime you're putting a lot of end beds in a single soap and you're wanting them placed a certain way, it's a little bit tricky. But with practice, it's really not that hard. The hardest thing in this soap here, I think, was um, well, altering the color of the sky, which I like the way it came out. It's enough different that it looks like a sky, but the eyeballs were probably the hardest thing. But it really wasn't hard. It was more that I was anxious about it because I really wanted them to look like, beautiful green eyes. Thrilled with how they came out. Thrilled with this mold. I am sorry that I went to check to get the link for you for from scrapbooking.com and that they were out of this mold. I'm hoping they get this brand back in. I think they still have this brand of other molds, so I don't think they're discontinued or something. But that's what I'll spend the last little bit here of my time saying is please think outside of the box when you're looking for molds. People always say, "Where do you get your molds?" Everywhere, everywhere. When you search, I get a lot of them from Amazon. um, you can if you get them from Etsy, you're gonna pay a lot more money. There I know people who get them from Temu. I've never done that. But if you search Amazon for things like fondant molds, for, food molds, candy molds, all kinds of things, as long as it says silicone, you can use it for soap. I would definitely check your sizes, though. Some of those fondant molds are tinier than you expect, and sometimes the scrapbooking molds are larger than you expect. But use your imagination. People also use molds for Fimo or that kind of baked clay, for paper clay, for all kinds of things. So keep that in mind as you're looking and get creative with your searches, whether it's on Amazon or just Google searches. Well, thank you for spending some time with me, and I hope you make a kitty cat soap for your favorite kitty lover. All right. Thank you so much. Bye.